All right, so when we start working on ourselves uh, at the beginning or even at the intermediate or middle stages of the path of knowing ourselves, processing ourselves, understanding what's true, what's false, on this path, for virtually everybody I know, including myself, we are dealing with this very active mind, active, busy, they call it in Zen, monkey mind, endless chatter, all these voices talking to us, judging us, or judging other people, criticizing ourselves or other people, as well as a simple commentary. It's almost like a narrator in our head, narrating on our experience. Um, so, in the esoteric traditions, this was considered to be an initial obstacle towards awakening, this constant state of being checked out, being lost in the so-called daydreaming. The daydreaming, it's not creative imagination or some having ideas and kind of lying in a bathtub and having some great idea. No, that's not what I'm talking about. It's this unnecessary mind activity that goes on forever since we wake up, even before then, till we go to bed. All the time about the thoughts are about the past and the future, trying to control, trying to get safety, trying to anticipate, trying to control reality, control oneself, control the impression I leave on other people, rehashing the past, uh, uh, constantly past, future images, memories that plays out in the Sufi tradition. This was called the veil of this daydreaming, the voices and constant static that basically, if you look at people, in buses or anywhere, although these days people are on the cell phone all the time, but in the past, there will be this look of glazed, kind of checked out, lost in the head. Yeah. So for many traditions, this is and for all of us, basically, when we start any interest in meditation or psychotherapy or awakening or processing, we are dealing with this. And what is important to know that this is everybody's dealing with that, this state of being identified with the thinking, being lost in the thinking. And a lot of this daydreaming is not I'm not talking about creative thinking, about problem solving thinking, about um, planning my next trip or planning my next talk, or I need to put gas in my car. It's not about that. It's about, as I mentioned before, endless stream of chatter that is going on. For some people it's, so to say, harmless. For other people it's like negative. There's self-pity, there's self-deprecation, there's judgment, commentary, something is not quite right, the world is not right, people are not right, I'm not right, something is missing, something is wrong, this constant monkey mind. So um, if we have any serious interest in discovering our true nature, or finding out the truth of what we are, or trying to have reach the source of inner peace and harmony and stability within, or if we are interested in processing our traumas and pain body and relational triggers, we cannot go very far if we are constantly um, taken, hijacked by the mind. So that's why many traditions, they offer tools and techniques to do something about it. Um, Now, when I use the term mind, um, what I refer to, and this is from various traditions, the mind is a bag in which there is thinking, the thinking. So from one angle, mind is an abstract term, doesn't quite exist, but what's happening is that there's thinking. There's this thinking waves of thinking. And what I mean by thinking is that there are either voices or written or images, memories. That's what I mean by thinking. In the fourth way tradition, they were talking about that each thought that comes along, each commentary, each thought, it pretends to be me. Each thought pretends to be me. So each thought that comes along is one of the many eyes, they will call it. All of these many eyes, they all fight with each other. One comes, one goes, one says, let's do this, another one, let's do that. So the constant chaos, and as if there is a captain, there's a ship with many mates, but the captain is asleep. Therefore, the cook comes for a moment to be the captain, and then someone from the engine room comes to be the captain, and then a tourist comes to be a captain. So there's no actual captain that is there. The captain is dormant. Our true self is dormant. Our real I is dormant. Our presence is in a state of more like a zombified state. And in this condition, the mind, the thinking that is used by the imaginary self or the ego or the false personality, so the thinking fills all the space. The problem is that creates stress, that creates a constant leak of energy. We are not just churning on creative ideas and happy thoughts. No, we are usually churning on future problems or past problems, trying to anticipate problems, trying to get things like next desire, imagining that that is going to fulfill the lack in my heart. So, um, one uh, one exercise. So practical exercise is just to be informed about this daydreaming quality of unconscious state of our soul. And so the first exercise is to simply become aware of this constant daydreaming, to become aware. And then as soon as you become aware that somehow I'm not in the here and now, let's say I'm not hearing, I'm not smelling, I'm not feeling my body, I'm not seeing, so I'm not thinking. There's thinking is happening like a veil, and I'm not aware of the present moment. Uh, and this is actually most of our life is spent in this state. So one of the exercises from the fourth way tradition is to simply know about this state of affairs and to uh, as soon as one catches oneself being lost in the past or future, unnecessary thinking, kind of unhook right away, drop it and come back to the present moment. Just dropping the imaginings and coming back to the present moment, and right away keeping attention in the present moment, putting attention on something else rather than the thinking. So coming back to the present moment and seeing, like a toddler, like a cat, they are seeing. So seeing in the present, we don't need thinking in order to see, although for most of us we are looking and there's commentary, oh, this is green, or this is not going to go so well, and oh, look, this reminds me of my cousin who did this to me, and this reminds me of my dog when I was a child, a Rover, and Rover died and it was sad. So for most people, even if we see, the associative thinking goes on. So then we are in daydreaming while seeing, not really seeing. That's why reality is dull and boring. So this first exercise is to come back as soon as we catch ourselves in unnecessary daydreaming, come back to the present, bring attention to the here and now. So you can use as an anchor, you can use the seeing, um, and seeing deeply like a toddler, like a cat, and not going into memory about it, just seeing and being aware of seeing, being aware of here and now, hearing, Bring attention to seeing, hearing. And when the next thought comes or something like that, take us into daydreaming, we notice and staying conscious of what's here. You know, there's the reality in the form of visuals, reality in the form of hearing. You can bring more elements, being aware of the breath, being aware of the inner body, and staying consciously present to the present as much as possible, and noticing this throughout the day. Notice this throughout the day, how there's a tendency to check out. So notice this. No, I'm not talking now about official silent meditation on the cushion. I'm talking about now everyday activity. When you go to a bathroom, when you have a shower, when we are driving, when we are eating, when we are walking. Observe the tendency to not be there, and bring yourself back, bring attention back into the present moment. Feel the sensations of the water on the skin as we have shower. Notice again we are taken, some next thought. Bring yourself back. When we are on the toilet or something, that the ego considers this is boring. These are simple moments, are boring. So then I'm just going on the phone or I'm going in daydreaming. So try to take this, go into a bathroom, shower, as if it's a little coming back to oneself, a little mini meditation. The fourth way, they will call this about presence, coming back to a sense of presence and coming back to a sense of being aware of my inner world and outer world at the same time. So yeah, this is ongoing effort of requires to have attention in the present, requires some type of inner watchfulness. They talk about this inner watchfulness in all traditions, Sufi, Christian, mystical tradition. They talk about sobriety of the mind or watchfulness, guarding of the mind, guarding of the heart. Mindfulness appears in Buddhism, presence, consciously, knowingly, being in the here and now. All of these words, they all refer to some kind of, initially, some type of effort of pulling oneself back from the veils of daydreaming and that are actually harassing us and that is stressful and this constant busyness, bringing ourselves back to the here and now and staying in the here and now as much as possible, engaging the senses. And yeah, this is more like a general kind of exercise. It is encouraged to actually take parts of take this, make it even more practical, because this is too vague. Take it, let's say, all right, some other practical exercises. Let's say you're driving and just set up a timer or look at the clock there at the dashboard, or put an alarm clock for like 10 minutes on the clock, or if you are walking, put 10 minutes on the clock. And basically during these 10 minutes the exercise is to be deeply present to the present, seeing, hearing, being conscious of the inner body, being conscious of the contact with the earth, conscious of the feet on the ground, being conscious of the breeze, being conscious of, definitely when we are driving, it's already some attention is on the traffic, but as you all know, one can be driving for miles and being totally checked out. So anyway, staying deeply present, it's fine to have music, and staying deeply present for 10 minutes, and notice whenever you catch yourself in daydreaming, you will fall asleep. As soon as you realize, come back, bam, come back to the here and now. Don't beat yourself up, don't be upset with yourself. There's some other imagining, come back. Staying present, you're going to check out again, come back. was a Zen master saying, as thought follows thought, we should not cling to any of them. Ultimately, these are very helpful for realizing that the thoughts are not me, that the thoughts appear to me, the thoughts are noticed. They come, they go. I am not a thought. That which is aware of thought, of imaginings, is not a thought. Yeah, so we have experiential insight that the mind is not me, the thoughts are not me, and I am the awareness, I am the witness of the mind. And spending more time, less lost in the thinking mind and more in being, hearing, sensing. So trying this 10 minutes, just 10 minutes on the clock, do this 10 minutes walking or 10 minutes driving. You will see that is pretty difficult, and then drop it. So these exercises I'm giving now, these are not to be done all the time. So just take a little part of the day where you do some of these exercises. I will offer many exercises or alarm clocks. Just use whatever you resonate the most, use whatever works for you. The purpose of this exercise of observing daydreaming is that when we are in daydreaming, we are asleep from the point of view of conscious awareness. Our soul is kind of veiled, and actually, we are missing out. We are missing out on the beauty of the here and now, the beauty of the child, of the lover, of the sunset, of the coffee, of the shower. We are missing out, and is this low-level churning, static. That's why people need to take drugs or need to do something extreme for that to stop, to be like, oh wow, it's so rich, it's so green, it's so bright. All right, so enjoy. First exercise, observing, daydreaming in oneself and coming back to the present.